Hello everyone and welcome to the center of the universe, where today we will be recapping all that went on in this week's edition of Universe as we get ourselves firmly underway on the road to WrestleMania. Kicking off this week, of course, was the Red Brand Monday Night Raw, which certainly had plenty to celebrate, having won the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match courtesy of Rhea Ripley. While Ripley would not be in the building, though, another woman involved in that matchup would be in Alexa Bliss. Bliss would immediately take the microphone upon arriving to the ring and declaring that she was robbed of the Royal Rumble victory by thugs in the ring, and she wanted to face one of those women who eliminated her from the Royal Rumble. The woman who would accept would be the newly debuting and former NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa. Having made a lasting impact in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, she made a lasting impact of Alexa Bliss as well, defeating her in relatively short notice, capping off what had been a fantastic 24 hours for her up to that point. The new era has dawned for Thunder Rosa within the WWE and Monday Night Raw. Where will it take her? What is her path? And who, if anyone, can stop her? Of course, the big story, though, of the evening was, of course, the arrival of Jay Lethal that had been anticipated for a number of weeks. And when the closing of the show came, it was the Big Show himself making a return that we had not seen in some time to welcome Lethal to the Red Brand. However, there was confusion up in the air when the theme of Lethal hit and the crowd rose to their feet. Yet no one made their way out. Big Show and the rest of the San Antonio crowd stood on in wonderment until the theme of Jay Lethal's rival played. The Miz made his way to the ring to a chorus of boos, and there was a brief element in the air that maybe, just maybe, we had been played by the Miz all along. Miz did not say this was the case, though, alluding that Lethal may have skipped town out of fear of the Miz and that he was on his way to reclaiming the United States Championship. However, second time would be the charm. Jay Lethal would emerge from behind the curtain and in front of the Texas crowd, and immediately engaging where they had left off in NXT. The Miz meeting him halfway up the ramp, and a fight emerging between these hated rivals, with the Miz even getting an upper hand and setting about proving a point to everyone that it was his time and that Lethal had made a mistake in coming back after him. And it seemed as if Miz was about to prove that point with a devastating skull-crushing finale. At the last moment, Jay Lethal pulled out the counter to the maneuver, and that would be the Miz's undoing. Lethal saw the opportunity, connecting with the lethal injection onto the Miz, but that simply was not enough. He had arrived to Monday Night Raw to prove a point, and a point he would prove. With the Miz laid on top of the table, Lethal elbowed them through it. And while both men were down, it was Lethal who would stand tall in the ring to close out the episode of Monday Night Raw, letting the world know that he was back, and letting the Miz know, more importantly, that there was nowhere to hide now, as the man who he had beaten at the end of NXT had come back for that sweet, sweet taste of revenge and victory. Though this would be the closing shot within the ring, however, the closing shot of the show itself went to Raw Women's Champion and the leader of Trifecta in Tessa Blanchard, walking into a locker room, alluding that she needed to talk to a certain someone. Does this have something to do with Rhea Ripley's victory in the Women's Royal Rumble? We don't know, but I feel that soon we will. On SmackDown, of course, it was all cause for celebration, as their brand was heading to the main event of WrestleMania. Kicking off the show, immediately making his mark, was the winner himself, the savior, Ricochet, soaking in the reaction from the Chicago crowd, both positive and negative. The Royal Rumble winner would take the opportunity to say that while he was on his way to cleanse WrestleMania, he instead took the opportunity to talk about all the good that he had done with the saviors, and that when the time came, he would show his decision personally. Whatever the situation was, it was clear that Ricochet's moment was not about telling us who he would face at WrestleMania, but that he was going to cleanse WrestleMania. Elsewhere, SmackDown had plenty going on for the Blue brand to put on a memorable episode with the return and debut on that very brand of the duo of Perfect. EC3 and MJF arriving with a bang, picking up a victory over former NXT Tag Team Champions Broken Brilliance, and sending an immediate message to the Tag Team division. That was not the only message sent though in terms of divisions on SmackDown, as Becky Lynch would make her return to the Blue brand, having been the runner-up at the Women's Royal Rumble. Despite Tegan Nox's best efforts, Becky Lynch would return with a victory within the Squared Circle and declare that she was now the man of women's wrestling and that it wouldn't exist without her, making one point evidently clear, that the man comes around and she is looking for Women's Championship number 5. As for our main event of the evening though, we were treated to an absolute barn burner between two former world champions looking to do nothing more than to put on a fight. Jon Moxley and Kevin Owens certainly did that as well within that ring, kicking out of both men's respective finishers. As the fight continued to pick up and it looked as if Jon Moxley may have been on his way to a certain victory over Kevin Owens, the theme of the bounty hunter Apollo Crews would hit, and the man that Moxley had eliminated from the Royal Rumble seemed to be making his way out for a fight. Moxley went to meet him, or so it seemed, as he pulled the trigger, indicating the Crews had walked into a trap, as Damian Priest would be there to attack Crews and push him to the back, getting him away from Jon Moxley and the contest in the ring. It seemed as if that it may have all been for nothing, as Kevin Owens got back up to his feet and threatened a sickening package pile driver onto the flooring below them, though Moxley would counter his way out, and in that moment it seemed that nothing and no one were about to stop him. He brought Owens back up to his feet for his demise, a paradigm shift on the outside, and then bringing them back into the ring for one more to finish off the 4-time WWE champion and to claim victory in a fantastic main event that SmackDown could be proud of. While Moxley was certainly ready to celebrate his victory, it was short-lived, as the Blackheart and WWE champion Tommaso Ciampa would assault Jon Moxley, suddenly using Goldie as a weapon. Ciampa believed that it was Moxley who had assaulted Mojo Rawley at the Royal Rumble, leaving him out for up to 4 months in order to get himself into that spot itself. Ciampa seemed poised to extract revenge from Mojo, about to do the same devastating move to Moxley as he had done to Jay White, when suddenly the theme of the Savior hit and Ricochet made his way out, inadvertently saving Moxley and declaring that at WrestleMania he was coming for the WWE Championship. The message was made loud and clear right there, that the Savior was seeking to cleanse the Blackheart, and with it, Ricochet would be looking to defeat Tommaso Ciampa for the WWE Championship at the grandest stage of them all. But arguably the show that had the most eyes on it was ECW, for the return of one man and his actions at the Royal Rumble. Of all the places, it was the Barclays Center, the arena where Seth Rollins lost the ECW Championship, that would boo Corin not only out of the building, but out of the entire state. Corin would simply stand in the ring and soak it all in before saying that everyone was welcome to his elimination of Rollins at the Royal Rumble. Like it or not, and many certainly don't, Corin is back. And if that is the case, then it can only mean bad things for ECW. We had certainly hoped as well that that would be the end of all the bad side to ECW, but it was not to be the case, as Evil and Sonata would once again get their hands on Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Gokto. Springing the trap, Sonata was able to use a chair on Hiroki Gokto, who at the time was taking on Dominik Dijakovic one-on-one, and had seen the attack by Evil on Ishii on the Titantron, and when Sonata laid out Gokto, it was easy pickings for Evil to finish him off. The damage was done backstage courtesy of LIJ, but in the ring, Dijakovic was about to receive a lesson from Randy Orton himself, as the Viper struck with an RKO, letting him know what goes around comes around, treating Dijakovic to a receipt for the Feast Your Eyes he had taken a week prior. Chaos on all sides, as ECW was about to reach its boiling point. The main event came around and we knew what it would be. Rusev was scheduled to defend his ECW Television Championship in an open challenge. And while it may have seemed that Tomohiro Ishii would step up to the case due to the attack, that was not happening. Instead, Adam Cole was the one to step in. Immediately learning what an uphill battle it would be, Adam Cole would spend most of the match busted open with blood gushing from his forehead, giving him a literal crimson mask and a soaked chest of his own blood. But Rusev would only torment the pressure, lock him in the accolade. It seemed as if it was all over, but Rusev would let go. Whether it was to finish off Cole in the middle of the ring, or you'd thought he had already won, we don't know. What we know is that it enabled Cole to get just back in long enough to have one final bit of fight in him. He would reverse a back suplex attempt from Rusev, connecting with a running Panama Sunrise, before leaping one from the second turnbuckle and pulling out what has to be declared as one of the biggest shocking upsets of the year so far, becoming the brand new ECW Television Champion. Often ridiculed for his inability to win in the big matches, Adam Cole proved that Brooklyn was a stomping ground for him on this evening. With nothing but heart and determination, he was champion. And while that covers the week following it from the Royal Rumble, it is now time to take a look at what will commence on this upcoming week of action within the WWE. As was announced on Monday Night Raw, the Women's Royal Rumble winner herself, Rhea Ripley, will be in the building, and it will be interesting to see what the fallout will be from the Rumble itself. Then focusing on the King of the Ring tournament, what a qualifier we have to announce for you right now. On top of all the matches announced on Monday Night Raw, another announcement here for you this evening. Pete Dunne will square off one-on-one with a phenomenal one, AJ Styles, with the winner going to the King of the Ring tournament. Meanwhile, on SmackDown, following up from his assault on both Sami Zayn and Robert Roode in the prior week, Jay White will go one-on-one with Zayn himself, who will be looking out for revenge on the Switchblade, who of course cost him his match and laid him out in the ring with a Blade Runner. On top of that, we will be seeing the Blackheart Tommaso Ciampa, the WWE Champion, in the building to respond to Ricochet's challenge made at the end of SmackDown. That is going to be one that you do not want to miss, folks. Then for ECW, it is going to be another King of the Ring qualifier. What goes around comes around, so says Randy Orton. We'll see if that will hold up to be the truth when those two men meet, with the winner going to the King of the Ring tournament. Dijakovic versus Orton on ECW. And that'll do it for another version here at the Center of the Universe, folks. Of course, if you have enjoyed this recap, please be sure to leave a like and let me know what you thought about this week in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to look at the links to the Twitter, Twitch, and the Wiki page. And of course, that join button, where for just $2 a month, not only will you become a member of the channel, earning a badge by your name exclusive emotes, but you will earn early access to every episode of Universe 48 hours before it goes live for a premiere. Well, the road to WrestleMania is certainly underway, and the road will continue on, starting with Monday Night Raw. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, everyone, and ta-ra.